Hey, Patrick,
Yes.
give me a city and a state.
What?
Give me a city and a state.
Booger Hole, West Virginia.
Give me a real city and state.
That is a real city and a real state too.
Is it really? That's a real
Booger
place?
Hole, West Virginia is actually a real
Okay,
place that
all
exists.
right. Give me like a creature, like an animal or a monster or a cryptid.
Tommy Knockers?
All right, Tommy Knockers. Now give me an action ending in ing.
What are we doing?
Just fucking do it.
An action ending in ing?
Yeah.
Edging.
All right. Give me an office of the government.
What the fuck? The DMV.
Okay, so the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we're almost done here. Give me a branch of the armed forces.
What's the space guys?
The Space Force.
Space Force.
Space
Yeah,
Force?
yeah, yes.
Okay,
yes,
so we got
yes.
Space Force. All right, give me an event.
An event?
Yeah, like something that would happen in a town, like a carnival.
Any sort of like thing that somebody.
Yeah, just a, you know,
I'm
thing.
going to the hoedown, the country,
hoedown.
the country. Yeah, the country style hoedown.
Country style hoedown. Okay.
I guess. Yeah, the
All right.
whole thing.
We had three more.
Are we doing Mad Libs?
Yes. So give me a kind of animal or a kind of person.
A kind of just like a generic, like a
Yeah, you could say lawyer or leopard, or you could say like
hippies who can't. So nearsighted hippies.
nearsighted hippies. Okay, now give me something you would find in a town.
A strip club.
Okay, and one more thing, a great big emotion, like devastation or
Like just a
just like a big
like
big
just something
feeling.
that someone would
Big feel.
emote.
Yeah.
You know, it is Delete Everything podcast, so I'm gonna go with come.
Okay, come it
I
is.
don't think anybody's ever emoted that loudly. Like nobody has an orgasm and just yells
Okay.
come. But as of today,
I do it all the time.
everybody who listens to everybody who listens to this podcast, next time you come, you better yell it.
Okay. Okay, in that case. Breaking news. Today in Booger Hole, West Virginia, Tommy knockers have been spotted edging in the countryside. The Department of Motor Vehicles has declared a national emergency, and the Space Force has been deployed to quell the country-style hoedown.
Oh my!
Nearsighted hippies have overtaken the strip club. Blood. Oh God, blood everywhere. The humanity. The cum.
Oh my God, that's a wacky disaster.
That's a wacky disaster
That's a wacky
for you
disaster
right
if I've
there.
ever heard one. Okay. Hey gang.
Yay.
That's right. I didn't do it. Yay. Oh, God. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here on Delete Everything podcast. Our big ass tidal wave, 500 miles offshore, that's heading directly toward the coastal town of your fucking brain, getting ready to batter it with knowledge about unknown, forgotten, or partial histories. I am Patrick Wall, and with me, as always, like a nuclear fallout cloud that has permanently altered my DNA, is my co-host.
Riley Bowen.
There he is. You like that?
That was bad. Yeah.
Well, it's, the coughing blood and all of my skin falling off is kind of a bummer, but the second penis and the gills that I've grown those are all aces, baby. They're not at all grotesque at all. The gills are on the second penis.
I don't have a joke for that.
Well, thank you firstly to those of you who have given us ratings and reviews. You guys are great. I sincerely mean that. It's very cool of anyone at any time to take a second and boost us that way. If you have not yet, please get on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, whatever platform you might be listening on, and give us 5 stars. It's our currency in this business, and it helps like way much more than you can imagine. I know that I've said it before, but like just to clarify a little bit, when we look to get things like sponsorships and ad revenue and things like that, those businesses want to see that we have an engaged audience. So they want to see that we kind of play back and forth off of our audience. And that's why I'm not bullshitting. Like when I invite you guys to hit us up and tell us what you like, what you don't like, show suggestions, things that you'd like to hear us do, etc. We are legitimately down as fuck to hear from you guys. So please tap those 3 dots, give us 5 stars, leave us a review, tell us anything you want to tell us. And if you want to send us a message, whatever you want to say, you can hit us up. deleteeverythingpodcast@gmail.com. We will send you a message back. So
yeah, we're big on communication.
Yeah, we've also got some social media, other ways of supporting us that we'll plug at the end of the show. So let's throw on our yellow vests and hard hats and explore some disasters. Yeah.
Yeah. When you said put on the yellow vest and hard hats, I immediately heard like house music and just like thought of us wearing just the vest and no shirts and like posing with pickaxes and shovels.
Nice. Well, that'll be our Delete Everything calendar that we do. That'll be March. Actually, before we jump in, I do just want to apologize for being like utterly dead last week. I'm not sure if it's because I know how bad I was feeling or what, but like going through and editing that episode, I'm like listening to myself and just reliving it like, oh, that's where I felt all of the strength leave my body. And like, oh, that's where I got really fucking hot for no reason. Oh, there's the part where no matter how much I drank, I was still fucking thirsty. Like I just pounding water.
I probably won't say too much anyway to this episode because I had a client tell me that they're mad at me today. So I'm just shivering with rage for 2 weeks.
Well, I apologize. I am feeling very energetic and spry today, so I'm ready to laugh and make some jokes at some absolutely disastrous shit.
Yeah, just at the expense of innocent people that lost their lives horrifically.
Yeah, no, that is so.
Hey, fuck them.
Unlike our previous Wacky Disasters Part 1, where there was some loss of life, but not like a ton. This one's got some pretty brutal ones. So I actually don't know how much this is going to be a jokey episode versus just a reaction episode of us being like, oh my God.
Oh God.
Yeah. But I don't know. How was your week, bud?
It's been miserable. I hated it. The whole thing's been awful.
Really?
Yeah.
The whole week?
It's only Tuesday.
It's Monday. I was, as you know, I was in Atlanta last week.
Yeah, how was that?
It was cool.
Did you get to go to the bathhouse?
I didn't go to the bathhouse. So, you guys who aren't on our Patreon, we did a Patreon episode where Riley talked about a 24-hour spa that he went to in Atlanta that, unbeknownst to him, at about 1 o'clock in the morning or so, was basically turned into a gay. Anonymous sex bathhouse.
Yeah, Turkish bath, if you will.
Yeah.
I should have figured it was a 24-hour bathhouse in the outskirts of a major city. I should have seen that one coming. No pun intended.
It's a very funny episode. If you're not subscribing to our Patreon, you should, because you get funny shit like that. I will say, I have been thinking about this. With Christmas coming up, I've been thinking about posting a couple of our Patreon episodes as bonus episodes on our main feed. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that sounds great.
I think I want to do a couple of them. I don't know if
let these jokers know what they're missing out on.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do the Atlanta bath. Maybe I'll do the Atlanta bathhouse one. But you guys will see how much different our Patreon is versus our what we normally do here. It's a lot more conversational. It's a lot.
You know
more,
how meticulously structured our main feed is, and how it's just deeply informative, and the heavy levels of research and bibliography.
Yeah. It's less than that.
It's less than that. We have less than that. And the episodes are shorter, too.
They are. I think we're averaging about 40, 45 minutes.
The one we just recorded is ostensibly about the ancient methods of execution.
Which we barely talked about.
I think I talk about the Tony Jaa action movie, The Protector, for about 25 minutes.
25 of the 45.
25, yeah.
Yeah, you will also find the common theme that we have a topic and we just go way off into like random shit, way more than like literally probably what I'd say we clocked in and talking about ancient forms of torture. Mm-hmm. Of the 42-ish, let's call it 42 minutes, there were maybe 4 minutes of that. And the other 38 minutes were just who knows? Who even knows what was going on? I went on a rant about bidets.
Just dicking around.
Yeah. So, at any rate, I think that we're going to do a couple bonus episodes over the next couple of weeks, the week before Christmas and then the week of Christmas. So basically, whenever this episode drops on a Monday, 3 days later, I'll drop a bonus. And then the week of Christmas, we'll drop a Monday episode and a bonus on Thursday. So that's our Christmas gift to you guys.
Hey.
Well, without further ado, I think we should talk about some disasters of a wacky nature.
Yeah.
They aren't all wacky. They're kind of just, some of them are just flat out disastrous, but they are largely unknown or untalked about, or so they fit right into the context. So the first one I wanted to do is kind of reminiscent of Wacky Disasters Part 1, where we talked about the Irish whiskey river.
Yeah, the Dublin whiskey fire.
Yeah. It's well, that was so maybe it's more of a, so that one was kind of had some parallels with the Great Molasses Flood of Boston. And so this is sort of in the same vein. The London beer flood.
The London beer flood.
London beer flood. So just for a little context, a little background of this. So in the early 19th century, and I don't know how to pronounce this. It's definitely French. It's Meux. I'm going to go Meux. The Meux Brewery.
Meux.
Yeah, in the early 19th.
The Meux.
How's the beer?
Meh.
In the early 19th.
That's so dumb.
I know, it's a bad joke. In the early 19th century, the Meux Brewery was one of the two largest in London, right? A brewery called Whitbread was the other. So those are the two biggest ones in London in the early 1800s, right? So in 1809, Sir Henry Meux purchased the Horseshoe Brewery, and he had this vision, right? His father, Sir Richard Meux, these guys are apparently knighted by the Queen, King. It was a king back then, I think. So Sir Richard Meux had co-owned a brewery called the Griffin Brewery in, I only put this down because fucking England, come on, man. The name, the street where Griffin Brewery was is Liquor Pond Street.
Oh, yeah?
Why is there a street called Liquor Pond?
Liquor barely know her pond.
Oh, my God. Liquor wherever you want, man, as long as it's consensual. He, so his father, Richard Meux, had co-owned this Griffin Brewery on Liquor Pond Street, and he constructed at the time the largest vat in London, the largest beer vat, right? Mm-hmm. This was capable of holding 20,000 imperial barrels, which just for reference is 840,000 gallons, right?
Dude, I've been to a lot of breweries, and that is...
It's a lot.
That's big.
It's big. So this is like a huge thing at the time in London. In fact, like breweries used to kind of duke it out for who could construct the biggest porter vats. So porter was, if you don't know porter, it's like a dark beer, and at the time it came from London. It was originally brewed in London, porter was. And at the time in the early 1800s, porter was like what everybody drank, right? So it was who could build the biggest porter vats, and people would come to the breweries and just marvel over them. And sort of, I don't know, whichever brewery had the biggest one was just, I guess, had like some cool bragging rights. That was about it. There wasn't like a fucking prize or anything you got. So Henry Meux emulated his father's large vat, and he constructed this wooden vat that was 22 feet tall and capable of holding 18,000 imperial barrels, right? So it was a little bit smaller than his dad's, but it still held 756,000 gallons. Mm-hmm. They used 81 metric tons of iron hoops to strengthen the vat, and Meux only made porter. That's all they made. So, and they had several of these big ass vats, some bigger, some smaller, right? So Meux and Company at this time had brewed, they had just purchased the brewery. They brewed 102,493 imperial barrels. That's 4,304,706 gallons. And if you want to visualize that in keg form, right? Imagine like a normal size keg, like if you go to a keg party, right?
Right.
Normal size keg. That is 277,723 kegs.
Say that number one more time.
277,723.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of kegs, right? So they had brewed that in the 12 months between when they, like from July of 11 to July of 1812, right? So some of the porter was kegged and some was left in these large vessels, in these big vats to mature for like several months or up to a year. Like the best quality stuff was the stuff that sat in the vats for the longest time, right? At the rear of the brewery, behind the brewery, ran a street called New Street. Not as cool as Liquor Pond, but New Street. And this is like a little cul-de-sac within the St. Giles Rookery.
Yeah, you know, the St. Giles Rookery.
We've all been there.
Right? It's the St. J. Giles band.
St. Giles. I think it's Giles. It's Giles, but I think it's pronounced Giles.
You know
J. Giles.
J. Giles.
Yeah. So this is this little cul-de-sac within the St. Giles Rookery. The Rookery, by the way, according to a professor of Irish literature, Richard Kirkland, quote, was a perpetually decaying slum, seemingly always on the verge of social and economic collapse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we all know that one.
Thomas Beams, the preacher of Westminster St. James, described the St. Giles Rookery as, quote, a rendezvous of the scum of society.
Dang.
Yeah. So it's a slum, right? Let's just keep it simple. It's a slum. By the way, largely inhabited by Irish immigrants who were not fondly thought of at the time.
Right.
So on the date in question, October 17th, 1814, right, around 4:30 in the afternoon, a fella named George Crick, who was Mew's storehouse clerk, saw that one of the 700-pound iron bands around the vat had slipped.
That's not good.
This is on the 22-foot tall vessel, the big boy, right? Which, by the way, was filled to within 4 inches of the top with 3,555 imperial barrels. This is 149,310 gallons of 10-month-old porter.
That's a lot of hooch.
Yeah. So apparently the band slipped off the vats like 2 or 3 times a year. So Crick wasn't like super concerned about it.
You said you said it was a 300-pound band?
The band is 700 pounds.
So the band itself is
the one
weighs
band
700
is 700 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, the single band, right?
Jeez.
And there's some, like I said, they used 81 metric tons of iron hoops. So one band is 700 pounds, right? But apparently these slipped multiple times, 2 to 3 times per year. One would sort of slip down somewhere and it just not a big deal, get fixed and no big deal. So Crick wasn't like super concerned about it. He told his supervisor about it, and his supervisor told him, quote unquote, that no harm whatever would ensue. So Crick was told, write a note to Mr. Young. Mr. Young's one of the partners of the brewery. And he said, write a note to Mr. Young to have it fixed later, right? An hour later, after the hoop fell off, after Crick noticed that the hoop was gone or was slipped, Crick is standing on a platform about 30 feet from the vat, holding the note to Mr. Young, which I just imagine, like, just, Mr. Young, I need a note.
Mr. Young, you really need it.
When the vessel, with no indication whatsoever, just burst open.
Woof.
Yeah, he's 30 feet away from it. The force of the liquid's release knocked the stopcock off the neighboring vat. Stopcock is a plug to...
Yeah, we've all been there.
Stop, cock. Yeah, it's the plug that holds so the next vat over. All this shit flying, like this thing bursting, knocked the plug off of the neighboring vat, right? So all of that, all of everything in there discharged
What kind
out.
of fucking Tom and Jerry fucking mousetrap bullshit is that?
Several hogsheads, which are just basically big-ass barrels that hold about 54 gallons. Several hogsheads were destroyed and their contents added to the flood. In total, between 153,000 and 387,600 gallons were released. So again, for reference, right? And I just did it in kegs this time. Imagine again, big keg, you're at a keg party, one of the normal size fucking kegs you get for a keg party. Between 9,871 and 25,006 full kegs worth.
That's a lot. I'm more interested in how you keep saying like you're at a keg party, just completely omitting the fact that we both have a collective 30 years of bartending between us and have changed thousands and thousands of kegs.
I'm thinking about in terms of people who maybe don't have bartending experience.
I get it. Like a keg party. I'm like, or a cooler filled with kegs.
Well, because like those are called half barrel kegs. They're also quarter barrel kegs. There's also sixth barrel kegs. So not the skinny kegs, just the normal size.
Can't do a good keg stand on a skinny keg.
Yeah, if you go get a Bud Light keg, or something of that nature, that's what you're going to get is a half barrel keg, right? So that's what I'm talking. Those hold 15 and a half gallons.
This is what you say, 7-year porter, 4-year porter.
This was a year old porter.
Year old
11 month.
11 month. Oh yeah, an 11 month porter.
Yeah.
That's a good beer. It's
Probably.
gonna be like really mellow and dark.
Probably.
And like it's not
sitting
like,
in a wood vat for 10, 11 months. Yeah.
This is like the beer that will now be flowing is not like, cold Bud Light.
No. So the stuff, I would imagine the stuff that they had in the hogsheads.
And rich.
Yeah, the stuff that was in the hogsheads was probably like the more like not as mature.
Like regular ale. Maybe,
exactly. So, by the way, so this, like I said, somewhere between 10 and 25,000 full kegs worth of beer suddenly exploding outward. The force of the liquid destroyed the rear wall of the brewery. This wall, by the way, was 25 feet high and 2.5 bricks thick.
Jesus.
Just demolished it, right? Some of the bricks from the back wall were knocked upwards and fell onto roofs of like the houses in the neighborhood, right? A wave of porter, some 15 feet high, swept onto New Street, where it destroyed 2 houses and badly damaged 2 others. Now, this all happened on a Monday afternoon, which is, it's going to make these casualties make a little bit more sense here in a second, right? On a Monday afternoon, all of the men of working age, which I'm going to assume in 1814 London was like 6 years old or something, fucking... The men of working age.
Yeah. The chimney sweeps.
Yeah, you're 6. Get to the factory, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So on a Monday afternoon,
baby can hold a broom.
Yeah, exactly. So they're all out to work. In one of the houses, a 4-year-old girl, Hannah Bamfield, was having tea with her mother and another child. The wave of beer swept the mother and the second child into the street, but Hannah, 4 years old, dead. In the second destroyed house... Jesus, I don't know why I'm laughing. A wake was being held by an Irish family for a 2-year-old boy.
Well, an Irish wake usually,
you need
involves some beer.
You need beer. Not that much.
So you know what? They probably didn't have any, and one of the people there prayed for some beer.
Oh no!
And then the rumbling.
Oh, the rumbling. Yeah, they were having a wake for a 2-year-old little boy. Their fucking house just got demoed by beer.
That's not the best.
That's the way you want to go out if you're Irish, baby.
Not the best Wednesday. No, you want the whiskey.
It's a Monday, by the way.
It's a Monday.
It's a Monday.
God,
it's a Monday morning.
Like Mondays. A real case of the Mondays here.
So yeah, they're having a wake for a 2-year-old boy. 4 of the mourners, Anne Seville, who was the boy's mother, who was like in her 20s, Mary Mulvey and her 3-year-old son, Elizabeth Smith and Catherine Butler. The last 2 were like sort of a little older, like 60s. Mm-hmm. They were all killed. Eleanor Cooper, a 14-year-old servant of the publican of Tavistock Arms in Great Russell Street.
Oh, yeah.
Died when she was, you know where that is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right next to the Chick-fil-A. She was buried ye old chicken filler.
Chicken fillets.
Chicken fillets. Fucking hell.
Have ye a blessed eve.
I work for the publican of the Tavistock Arms on Great Russell Street, catty corner from the chicken fillet. Oh my God. Oh fuck. She was buried under the brewery's collapsed wall while washing pots in the pub's yard. So apparently working for the Tavistock Arms, you have to wash some fucking pots.
Yeah.
In next door, I guess, in the pub's yard. Go over there and wash the fucking pots, lady.
Oh yeah.
14-year-old girl, and she was crushed by the wall, collapsing.
Jesus.
Another 3-year-old child, Sarah Bates, was
This
found.
is all children just murdering
Women and children. It's all women and children.
Good God.
Well, no, there's one little boy. Yeah, there's one, the son of Mary Mulvey, her 3-year-old son. Yeah, Sarah Bates, another 3-year-old child, was found dead in another house in New Street. And so that's all of our casualties. It was 8 people died total. But the land around the building was low-lying and flat, and it didn't have very sufficient drainage. So the beer flowed into cellars, many of which were inhabited, and people were forced to like scuttle out or like climb on furniture or whatever to avoid drowning because the fucking cellar's filling up with beer. Mm-hmm. So there was a coroner's inquest, which ultimately classified the event as, quote unquote, an act of God. And they returned a verdict that the 8 dead had lost their lives, quote, casually, accidentally, and by misfortune. It was just an act of God.
Hey,
Maybe
you can't predict these things.
Maybe there's something to that whole prayer thing. God, it was an act of God. That lady was praying for beer.
I mean, like, would it be? I guess it kind of. No, this is mechanical failure.
100%.
Yeah, there's no fucking act. I'm thinking like, well, if a meteor had done this, it'd been like, no,
Yeah.
it's not that.
Hey, the band slipped. It'll be fine.
It's
Just
this-
write a note to Mr.
This
Dickhole.
factory skirted safety protocols and fucking killed a bunch of
By
people.
the way, safety protocols in 1814.
yeah, non-existent. Is that?
So, like I said, there was a coroner's inquest that decided that, no big deal. So, as a result, Mew and Company didn't have to pay any compensation for the damage and the loss of life. Regardless, between the lost porter, the money they would have made off of the fucking however many kegs of beer, 25,000 kegs of beer they lost, the damage to their buildings, and the replacement of the vat, this all cost the company about 23,000 pounds, which I didn't look and see what that is in today's money, but probably a lot. Here's the cute thing. After a private petition to Parliament, they recovered about 7,250 pounds from HM excise, which is like an excise tax. It's HM stands for Her Majesty's Excise.
Yes.
Right? So this is like on an excise tax is like on manufactured goods. It's not like a sales tax. It's like as soon as you make it, you pay your excise tax, right? Mm-hmm. So they recovered 7,250 off of this excise tax from a private petition to Parliament, which saved them from bankruptcy.
Oh,
So fuck you, poor people.
did any of the people whose homes got crushed or?
No, the coroner's inquest
"No,
said
God did
it
it."
was a whoopsie daisy, and you don't have to pay them anything.
Yes, it's quit the kerfuffle, isn't it?
Oh dear.
Oh, dear.
Just pathetic Irish. Drowned in beer. So it was the coroner's inquest said no, it was just an accident, so you don't have to pay for anything, guys. And then they said, "Ooh, but we're gonna go bankrupt. Hey, psst,
Our
psst.
vats exploded.
Hey, Parliament, can you talk to me over here in the other? Can you go to the other room with me real quick? I got a question for you.
Can you just help us out a little?
Hey, so this cost us like $27,000. I'm sorry, $23,000. Can you give us like a little bit of that back?" And then some guy in Parliament was like, yes. And so, yeah.
Yes, but I expect a lifetime supply of free beer.
Free porter for me for life. So,
Gentlemen of the council, we've found a new sponsor. No. This is hand wringing like an avarice fucking pigs.
so as far as we know, this is a quote. Contemporary descriptions suggest that residents reacted, quote, with admirable calm, right? There were rumors that came out after the fact about eager beer drinkers like rushing to the scene, but they were just, I think it came out that it was pretty legitimately just rumors.
Yeah, it's not like whiskey. All right, it's not.
It's not like there's a
Not
river
gonna
of whiskey.
filter the fucking porter out and like take like, oh, I can't wait to get wasted on this dirt porter. The whiskey, you can be
I
like,
have
I'll
to
drink
fill
this shit
my
up.
hat up 8 times before I even catch a buzz.
The whiskey, you're like, I'll fucking fill my hat with the mud, chew on it. It's gonna work.
But no, they established those were pretty legitimately just rumors because like the newspaper reports at the time, they kind of said that it was pretty calm, and the reason that we can infer that this was all rumors is because St. Giles Rougarou is full of Irish immigrants, and newspapers at the time wouldn't have been particularly friendly if there was like this crazy rush to like drink the beer. You know, if it was all the Irish immigrants just drinking the beer. So the newspaper reports at the time said everything was calm, and then these rumors came that was like, oh, the Irish were all in the streets drinking the beer. But for the most part, I think we can just lay that to rest because the newspapers at the time wouldn't have had any incentive to be nice and not say that. You know, they reported calm, so probably rumors. In fact, the descriptions of what happened in the immediate aftermath of the disaster say that everybody was calm and they were urged to be as quiet as possible so that any survivors could be heard under the rubble, which is fucking bleak. Jesus Christ. God damn. Shh, there might be people under here. We gotta listen for people going,
Hey, everybody shut up.
oh man, oh, I'm trapped under the wall. I'm stuck under the wall. Oh, God. Interestingly, as a result of this accident, the large wooden vats, the big tanks, were phased out across the brewing industry and replaced with lined concrete vessels, which is gross.
Yeah.
Concrete stuff grows in concrete. Like mold and mildew and stuff grows in concrete.
The nooks and crannies.
Yeah. Like wood has, depending on what wood you use, it has natural properties that won't let mold and mildew and bacteria and stuff like that grow in it.
Not that it matters though, because at that time in England they were just letting rats die in the beer anyway. Nobody fucking whatever. You know that story about the beer? About Guinness?
The beer gave me diarrhea. We'll just go out in the street and shit.
You know the story about Guinness, where they put red meat in it.
I didn't know that they put red meat in Guinness.
Yeah, at a certain they put meat in Guinness. It's not a vegetarian. Okay, this could be completely bullshit.
Okay,
all right.
I'm here for it.
I've heard the story like multiple times. It's because it gives it a particular kind of like a depth of flavor. All right, just like fucking chunks of meat in the vats. All right,
gross.
Yeah, but it's because for 100 years they had the same vats and they never cleaned them out. You know, they were just releasing this, like, just Guinness forever. And everyone was drinking the fuck out of it. And they were just like, oh, well, this is the recipe. You know, you can't clean it or ruin its meh. And so then when they eventually went and cleaned out the vats and dumped it out, they found, like, hundreds of dead rats in it. So when they started redistributing after they cleaned out the vats, people complained because they're like, this isn't Guinness. The fuck? This doesn't...
By the way, there isn't a single beer that's vegetarian because it's all got active yeast in it. So, and that's a living organism, and you're fucking eating it. So suck that, beer drinking nerds.
That sounded so just like fuck you vegetarians. I hate you. Like
yeah. I don't even feel that way about vegetarians. I just wanted to just
take that.
Yeah,
I think vegetarians are allowed to eat bacteria, like yeast, right?
I think
like
vegetarians are allowed to eat whatever. I think anybody's allowed to eat whatever the fuck they want. Yeah. I just wanted to just do a little vegetarian own.
But anyway, so the people were complaining. They're like, this doesn't taste like rats anymore. That was my southern Brit. I guess this is south of England. This don't taste like no fish and chips.
This Guinness don't taste like rats no more. No, it doesn't.
So they started just sinking some meat into it to give it this like complexity.
Oh my god, gross. Yeah. I hope that's fake, but it brings me back to the living organisms in the beer and the fucking concrete vats. Like, there's yeast in there that just thrives off of anything that's got any sort of, sugar. But I mean, I don't know, dude. Concrete lined vats is gross. But like I said, back then, if you got the diarrheas, you just ran out into the street and shit in the gutter. So, it was a gross place and a gross time.
Empty me knickers on the cobblestones, I was.
I had to run real bad after drinking that.
Jesus. Do you think that if we ever developed a strain of like yeast that was like emotionally intelligent, that it would make the beer taste different?
Like you'd get some sort of enlightenment from
they got like families and stuff, and they know love.
So they're just the good vibes.
So when they're fucking.
I'm sure that there are some people who believe like in moon chakra crystals that probably would think that, but that's not the way that science works.
I don't know.
That's not how energy dissipates.
There's a story recently that the I think it's fucking Harvard or something. They figured out how to communicate with somebody through someone else's dreams, which I thought was cool. Like one person is dreaming and they're like fucking with them, and that like bled through into another sleeping person's dream.
I saw that.
Which is fucking fascinating, right?
Weird and crazy.
Yeah, crazy. But that to me is just like, ooh, science is fucking vague.
It's certainly never settled. That's
something.
That's why we don't say anything is settled science. Anybody who uses the term "that's settled science" is like, even if it's 99.9, there's still that 0.01, baby.
I think the best part of that story, though, is that immediately some fucking like capitalist company was like, "So do you think we could like do advertising that way?"
Oh my god, Futurama! Are we gonna get Lightspeed Briefs commercials?
Yeah, right. Like, oh god,
if you haven't watched Futurama, watch Futurama.
If I'm sleeping
so
and I start
brilliant.
getting ads, I'm gonna be furious. Like,
well, but the whole thing was that you didn't even realize.
yeah,
Well, that was the Futurama bit.
I'm dreaming.
Yeah. Oh god. All right. Well, hey, you want to do another disaster?
Yeah, I love disasters.
This one's you're not gonna love this one. So this one's a little closer to home, a little more contemporary.
Okay.
There are people alive today that were knocking about when the Texas City disaster happened. Have you heard of this?
Just Texas City.
Texas City.
It was the one. It was the one city they had in Texas.
It's the name of a city. It's called Texas City.
Texas City? Is it in Texas?
It is.
Okay.
Texas City disaster.
Texas-
You've never
so-
heard of this. I was surprised I've never heard of this.
Hold on a second. So the address line for this place is Texas City, Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 1209 Texas Street, Texas City, Texas.
I mean, that makes, I guess because Oklahoma City
Oklahoma, yeah.
is that in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
No, Oklahoma City's in
Oklahoma City's in Oklahoma.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's the city that's like it's like Oklahoma, Missouri or something?
I mean, yeah, there's like probably like a Florida, Missouri or something.
Oh no, it's Kansas City.
Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City straddles the Missouri-Kansas line.
Yeah, but it's still Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah. That's funny.
Well, there's a Kansas City, Kansas, and a Kansas City, Missouri, and they're the same city, but they're right on the state line. Yeah.
Jeez. Minnesota, St. Paul. Dallas, Fort Worth. They're the same goddamn place.
Yeah, pretty much. So the Texas City disaster, which again, I was surprised I've never heard of it, but here we are. It was an industrial accident that occurred on April 16th, 1947 in the port of Texas City, Texas. Right? Texas City, by the way, located in Galveston Bay, so like sort of the southeastern part of the Texas Gulf.
Okay.
Kind of close to the Texas-Louisiana border.
Yeah. Right by Dyke Beach.
Gross.
No, like like a dam.
Gross.
Got dike, you know? Do you not know what a dike is?
I do know what a dike is.
Okay. So what's gross?
Gulf beaches, man. You never been to the Gulf of Mexico? Those beaches are gross.
Texas beaches, gross. Okay.
Yeah, Louisiana too. As a native, I can tell you. So it's close to the Louisiana-Texas border. This event was the largest industrial accident in U.S. history and one of the largest non-nuclear explosions.
Ooh.
This, like I said, I'm amazed that we have not heard of this, right? So I looked up some info on Texas City because I grew up in an oil refinery town in Louisiana, and I've never heard of Texas City despite its proximity and similarity where I was born and raised.
When you talk about your childhood, I just hear a harmonica in the distance.
It's accordion would be more appropriate.
Walking on the train tracks in overalls, throwing rocks at dilapidated huts.
I'm rural Louisiana. It's more Cajun country. You hear an accordion in the background. But the general vibe that I got from the people on the internet is that Texas City is a shithole. And
it's right outside of Houston. Yeah, so that tracks.
Yeah, I'm not even paraphrasing. I found a review that quite literally said, and I quote, "Texas City is a shithole. Avoid at all costs. Galveston proper is okay, but the area is full of ugly, dirty little towns surrounding it." End quote. So I'm sorry if you have any problems with me saying Texas City is a shithole. You take it up with the guy who said that because it wasn't me. I'm just reporting the news, baby. So let's get into this.
Texas towns, though, like you get your proper Texas town, like Galveston or something.
Yeah.
And then
so it's right outside of Galveston. It's like Galveston area.
It's just going to be industrial little
and
places.
That's exactly. It's an oil refinery town.
I mean, kind of everywhere. That, has like a blue collar.
Yeah, it's a refinery town, and basically, if you don't work at the refinery, you're not anywhere in that area because
so you can't sit with us.
Yeah.
If you don't work at the refinery, you don't.
So on Wednesday, April 16th, 1947, right around 8 a.m. There's a ship docked at port in Texas City called the SS Grand Camp.
Yeah, that was a Disney series. It was about grandparents that went to summer camp.
Was it?
No.
That's hot.
No.
I know.
Disney does like to do those camp series, the Camp Rock.
Well, I feel like everybody did
Lemonade
that,
Camp, Band Camp, or whatever.
Lemonade Camp.
I don't know. I haven't seen all of them. I'm an
So
adult man.
so docked at port in Texas City is the SS Grand Camp, right? This is a ship that had previously been part of the Pacific Fleet in World War II. We're talking 1947 right now, right? So it was part of the Pacific Fleet in World War II. It was partially decommissioned in Philadelphia after the war, but then it had like very recently been reactivated as Grand Camp. It was originally the SS Benjamin R. Curtis. So if you want to look up that was...
Yeah, well, I guess
it was renamed
fuck
when
Benjamin Curtis. He doesn't get to have a ship anymore.
Well, it was renamed when they reactivated it
because they renamed once they brought all the grandparents on to start learning how to put on to sing show tunes and dance.
Yeah, and fuck when the counselors aren't watching.
Grand Camp.
Hell yeah, Grand Camp.
The counselors are just like orderlies.
The counselors are just teenage kids like any other camp.
Blowing the whistle like, Grandma, get off of him.
The pool's closed after 10. I told you. Get off of her. So no, it was reactivated as Grand Camp because it was reactivated to assist in the French rebuild, the post World War II French rebuilding. Some shit happened over there during World War II. I don't know if you remember.
Something about France fighting somebody for something.
Yeah. Sometime in the 40s, and really just getting the piss bombed out of it.
What's that country? Burgundy, Bimini.
Yeah, that's
Germandy.
The island of Bimini. Just took them out.
Germandy.
So Grand Camp had on it a mixed cargo, right?
What was that guy's name? Bittler.
Gradolf
Bittler.
So Grand Camp had a mixed cargo. Mostly, the primary thing on this boat is ammonium nitrate. So in addition to the ammonium, in addition to it's not a summer camp for grand people, grandparents.
Grand Camp.
So
I love that that I'm establishing these characters like Ben the Rebel, and
is that his name?
Yeah, his name's Ben.
Uncle Ben.
Yeah, Uncle Ben. No, Grandpa Ben.
Peepaw Ben.
Grandpa Ben the Rebel, and then you get Gigi Geraldine. Call her 3G.
Martha.
Yeah, Geraldine.
3G.
Yeah, she's a widow. And she is. She and Grandpa Ben are hitting it up.
Her and Ben are having a good time.
Yeah. Well, because he was the bad boy back.
They were in the lake after 10 p.m.
Yeah,
the counselors
exactly.
found them. They were
taking Metamucil and stuff. And but I like that we're establishing all these characters
feeding each other spoonfuls of Metamucil.
The tragic second season of Grand Camp is that they all fucking die in a horrific explosion.
So, all right.
What a twist. Fuck. Right after the talent show.
People Grand Camp has primarily ammonium nitrate. They also have twine, peanuts, tobacco, some small arms ammunition, engineering equipment, cotton. There's just a mixed bag in there, right? There's also
Metamucil prunes.
That's fucking half of the cargo hold is just Viagra. There's also a ship called High Flyer, right? And High Flyer is docked about 600 feet away.
That's the rival of Grand Camp.
That's yeah. High Flyer's looking down its nose at Grand Camp.
They're doing in the off season they do like races, like field days and competitions with High Flyer. And Grand Camp hasn't been coming out so great because they're old people.
Yeah. High Flyer's got all the money, so they're putting.
Yeah. So really, Grand Camp uses their prune supply, and they like put a bunch of prunes.
Their
in the
ship
food.
for the annual regatta was just.
Yeah, exactly. So they put a bunch of prunes.
Wait, they're already a ship. It would have to be like a
cardboard boat. They got to build a cardboard boat, and they race them.
What are the downhill racers? They're doing land
Pine
stuff.
Box Derby.
They're doing land stuff.
Pine Box Derby is actually that's where the Grandpa Ben shines because he used to ride a motorcycle back in the day.
Yeah, and he was a carpenter by trade.
Yeah, exactly.
So All right. High Flyer is also.
So they
more-
lace all of the high flyers' food with the prunes and Metamucil. So on the day of the big race, they can't. They're all stuck in the latrines.
Everybody on High Flyer has sweaters tied around their necks. Yeah. They're wearing polo shirts with sweaters around their necks. No, so High Flyer has, in addition to, so High Flyer is 600 feet away, right? They've got in their cargo holds 961 tons of ammonium nitrate. So let's add some more to the mix. And 1,600 metric tons of sulfur. So that's a fun little cocktail we got.
Stinky.
That's a stinky cocktail for sure. It smells like eggs. So on April 16th, the Grand Camp is being loaded with all this stuff to take over to France, ammonium nitrate, all the other stuff we talked about, right? Cigarette smoking, by the way, is officially banned.
Yeah,
on these
because
docks.
of Grandpa Ben.
Because Grandpa Ben is a fucking menace.
Wouldn't stop.
So, but it's still a common practice by longshoremen on the docks to fucking smoke. So, as a matter of fact, just 2 days prior to...
That's where he gets them. That's where Ben gets them. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop, but let's go. I got to go to the commercial break real quick. Bang camp, meow.
This episode brought to you by Grandpa Ben's Minute Rice.
By Grand Camp, the second season
Grand Camp,
airing now
season 2.
on Disney Plus.
Out January 8th. So just 2 days prior, as a matter of fact, there was 2 days before this day in question that we're talking about, there was a fire on the docks that was caused by a cigarette getting flicked over and catching some shit, right?
Classic.
So on the morning of April 16th, smoke was spotted pretty deep in one of the Grand Camp's cargo holds, right?
Nobody investigated because they thought it was Grandpa Ben. I'm going to stop. I'm done. I swear to God.
You keep promising.
The Grand Camp bit is done.
You keep promising. They didn't use hoses to put this out. They used jugs of water and an extinguisher to try and fight this fire. They didn't want to use hoses because they were afraid that they would ruin the rest of the cargo.
Wasn't the cargo explosive, though?
The cargo is pretty much all ammonium nitrate.
So they didn't want to get the explosive stuff wet?
They've got 2,300 tons loaded on this of mixed cargo, but they've got 2,300 tons already loaded on the ship, and they're like, wow, we don't want to ruin all of it.
Does water hurt ammonium nitrate?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think it does, because fertilizer's usually pretty damp.
So, yeah, they're using jugs of water. They didn't want to bring the hoses in. They were afraid they were going to fuck up the ammonium nitrate, apparently. They did remove all the ammunition from the ship. They had a bunch of small arms ammunition on there, and they were like, well, let's take this off.
But let's leave the catastrophic explosives.
Yeah, we don't need fire bullets. We just fucking... so they took all that. And so at some point, they were unable to sort of stop the fire with these jugs and extinguisher, right?
They couldn't stop the fire?
They didn't light it, but they did try to fight it. They... Jesus Christ.
I want to quote that song again, but all I can think
keep doing it.
All I can think in my head is like Leonard Bernstein, and I know that's not how that song goes. That's a different one.
No, that is
Leonard Bernstein.
Leonard Bernstein. We didn't start the
No. That's the REM one that does the Leonard Bernstein.
Oh,
you know the Everybody Wants to Rule the World. It's the end of the world as we know it.
It's the end of the world as we know it. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Billy Joel, REM, same band.
Yeah.
All right, so they couldn't get this fire to stop. So at some point, the harbor master says,
"Hey, will you guys stop this fire?"
He sends all the longshoremen away. He goes, "Get the fuck off. We're gonna close all the hatches. We're gonna suffocate this fire. Right? We're gonna just deprive it of oxygen."
Well, actually, Patrick, I believe what they would have said is that they're going to batten down the hatches.
Perhaps. I think that's more of a sailboat thing,
He would have said, "Avast, ye lubbers, batten down these hatches."
Yes, he did say exactly that. I have it quoted right
Afar
here.
she blows.
You jumped the gun, man. I had that whole quote. It was to hit here in a second, but yeah. So they closed all the hatches. They said we're going to restrict the oxygen. That'll put out the fire, right? Unfortunately, I guess they didn't have any chemists. The harbor master wasn't a chemist. Did not realize that ammonium nitrate's chemical composition doesn't require oxygen to burn.
Right, because the fire is just going to feed off of the chemicals. Yeah.
Yeah. So around 8:30, they close these hatches, right? Before 8:30.
They batten them down.
They batten them down. Around 8:30, so maybe 30 minutes after they close them, the steam pressure inside of this boat got was so great that it blew the hatches off. And subsequently, a column of like this yellow-orange smoke, which is the color that, ammonium nitrate burns. It was that's the color. It's like this yellowish orange, like gross looking smoke. So the fire, both the fire and this unusual looking smoke, attracted a bunch of spectators along the shoreline.
Ooh,
who were, yeah. Ooh, what's happening over there? Let's get a closer look.
They're doing like a smoke show.
Yeah. They did believe that they were at a safe distance. What they believed. So responding fire departments included the Texas City Volunteer Fire Department and the Republic Oil Refining Company firefighting team.
Ooh,
They've got
say
their
that 10
own
times fast.
Republic Oil Refining.
Aha, not even once.
Not even once. The Republic Oil Refining Company has their own firefighting team, which I feel like if you own a refinery, that's probably not a bad idea.
Yes, you should probably have somebody to combat these fires that will happen eventually.
Mm-hmm.
They could probably increase profits and minimize inefficiency if they were to cut one of those firefighting teams.
This is 1947, so they probably hadn't thought of that yet, but I guarantee you between then and now, there's been some asshole in a boardroom somewhere that decided that exact thing. So you're
like a fat man chewing a cigar going like, we don't need two firefighting units.
We could pay ourselves an extra $100K a year if we got rid of them. So yeah, you're right on track, bud. So by 9 a.m., so it's
inefficient.
These firefighting teams are inefficient.
You only need one. It's only one location.
We need one guy.
Job.
We need one guy.
We're gonna have more than one fire.
You can't tell me one guy can't pull a hose.
Come on,
and open it.
How long is it? How many people does it take to pour water on something?
Jesus Christ, I hate it. So 8:30 is when these hatches fly off.
I do not respect firefighters. Is what I'm trying to.
Fuck you.
I'm totally joking.
Jesus.
Absolutely joking.
So
I'm playing on the absurdity of like corporate efficiency quotas and profitability margins when it comes to the cost of human life. Come on, everybody got that joke.
Yeah, when it comes to dickhole fucking CEO and board members going, well, how do we pay ourselves more money? Get rid of the firefighters at the refinery.
Cut safety protocols.
Yeah, let's get rid of the firefighters at the place where everything's flammable. So 9 a.m., 30 minutes after these hatches explode, flames had erupted on, inside of this hold, and the ship's on fucking fire, right? At 9 a.m. And at 9:12, it fucking explodes. The blast was heard 150 miles away.
Jesus.
It was so powerful that the ship's 2-ton anchor was found nearly 2 miles away.
Whoa.
It fucking exploded. It exploded so hard that a 2-ton anchor flew almost 2 fucking miles inland. The force of the explosion lifted another ship completely out of the water. People working at the docks just gone, dead, instantly killed.
Liquefied. Fucking the just
Jesus.
concussion alone would just
break you to bits. This initial explosion caused utter destruction within 2,000 feet, extreme damage throughout the port. It produced a 15-foot tsunami and shockwave. It leveled nearly 1,000 buildings on land.
That's a lot of buildings.
Yes. Among the buildings, and I don't feel bad about this one, it did destroy the Monsanto Chemical Company plant.
Yeah, but which was sadly located directly next to the old cute dog rescue. And it was a Monday, right?
The Children's Leukemia Ward there.
Monday is blind toddler visit day for the old dogs, which is their
rescue.
favorite day.
I do feel bad. It killed 145 of the 450 workers at Monsanto. I don't feel bad for Monsanto ever for any reason, but
I mean, I feel a little bad for just people working at.
I feel bad for the people
workers.
I feel bad for the people who died. I don't feel bad for Monsanto taking that hit. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Satan losing a profit.
Right, exactly. Flying shrapnel resulted in the ignition of refineries and chemical tanks along the riverfront. I'm sorry, the waterfront. So all this fucking shrapnel that's on fire, flying through willy-nilly through the air, landing in vats of chemical tanks and fucking oil tanks and shit. There were falling bales of twine, the twine that was on the ship, burning twine that's falling and adding additional damage. Like I said, the anchor was hurled across the city. 2 sightseeing planes flying nearby were blown out of the sky.
Jesus Christ.
8 miles away.
Here's a sight for you. The ground.
Jesus. So 8 miles away, half the windows in Galveston were shattered. The explosion blew almost 6,350 tons of the ship's steel into the air, some at supersonic speeds.
Dude, imagine
That's how hard that explosion was.
Just imagine being like hit with a concussion so hard that the windows in your house shatter.
No.
Like that's fucking insane. And this was already Galveston, so we're talking like 40, 50 miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insanity.
8 miles away.
That's
Still, 8 miles is a fucking long way.
Yeah, a long way for a blast loud enough to shatter half the windows in
the windows
town.
in the fucking city. Yeah. So, by the way, there's more. Maybe you noticed earlier I said, quote, the initial explosion. Do you remember that?
Yes, I recall.
Explosion? Yeah. So the first explosion had set the High Flyer, the ship that was moored 600 feet away, it set it free from its moorings, and the High Flyer drifted across the harbor. It ended up coming to rest against a ship called the SS Wilson B. Keene.
B?
He be keen.
He
be real keen.
It's the keenest Wilson I ever did see.
So what do he be keen to do? So the Wilson B. Keene's crew stayed aboard for about an hour before the smoke from the oil. There was oil burning in the harbor.
You think the Wilson B. Keene was like the sister ship of the Johnny B. Good?
Wilson B. Keene sounds like a 70s, like I sing songs about fucking. That's Wilson B. Keene.
Wilson B. Keene.
What's up, ladies? I'm Wilson B. Keene.
I don't know. Wilson B. Keene kind of sounds like an Archie character.
This song's called I Want to Smush Your Sister.
It's like an Archie character. He's like the good-looking like guitar player in town that the Betty and Veronica are after, and Archie and Jughead aren't having it.
Well, Wilson B. Keene has got some crew members on her. So there's oil burning in the harbor, right?
Yeah.
Creating like this horrendous acrid smoke, right?
Smoke on the water.
And so there's smoke on the water.
Fire in the sky.
There's also that, yeah.
Do you know that song is about a Frank Zappa concert?
Dun, 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 dun. It's also the first song that anybody who ever picks up a guitar learns.
That's not true.
It's not?
No.
That's true for me and everybody who's my contemporary who picked up a guitar and didn't have like formal lessons.
I learned how to play Pretty Woman. It's a good one. Yeah. I recently realized that I had learned how to play House of the Rising Sun when I was a kid.
That's another one that everybody learns real quick.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it, but I've been doing the same chord progression for so long that like I've got like a million different riffs with the same thing.
Oh yeah,
and I like just
that's just how
I
guitars
was sitting
work.
there and I just like slowed it down. I started playing. I was like, is this fucking House of the Rising Sun for, like that I've been fucking playing with for like 20 years?
Jesus. So as I said, the crew of the SS Keene stayed on board for about an hour before the smoke from all the burning oil in the harbor forced them to be like, all right, we gotta get the fuck out of here. So,
which they should have done a while ago.
Yeah, probably.
Everyone should have gone, hey,
well,
let's get the fuck out of here.
This is the immediate aftermath of the explosion. Right? This is like the explosion happens, the High Flyer is set loose from its moorings. It floats probably because of all the fucking waves that the explosion caused and lodges itself into the SS Keene, right? Those guys are like, okay, well, what the fuck? Like, probably got shielded from the explosion from the High Flyer, probably shielded a lot of that bullshit from heading their way. But they, like I said, after about an hour of this smoke and God knows what the scene, by the way, all the archived fucking news, like newspaper stuff and all the old photos and stuff from this are insane. We'll get into that here in a second. So they end up leaving. Later that afternoon, 2 men boarded the High Flyer searching for injured crew members because the High Flyer was right there, 600 feet away. They happened to notice while they're on board that the High Flyers cargo is on fire too.
Ooh.
So they go and report it to somebody on the harbor. Somewhere on the harbor front, they go, hey.
They hand him a note.
They wrote a note. Somebody said, it'll be fine. Just write a note. And they're standing on the dock holding a note when something else explodes. Apparently, this message of theirs that they reported went unheeded for several hours.
Oof.
Yeah. So
Texas City, north of Galveston, Texas City harbors several historical distinctions. The city remains the nation's 11th largest seaport, and it's also the site of America's worst industrial catastrophe. That is the official description on the website
line
for Texas City, Texas.
Hey, a lot of people died here.
11th largest seaport, also the worst industrial.
That's pretty big. You know what? You didn't crack the top 10. Take that off. Take it off. You got to crack the top 10 if you want to be on. If you want to say that. So they happen to notice her cargo's on fire too. They report it to the harbor front. Nobody does anything for several hours. I'm not sure if it's because the largest non-nuclear explosion in fucking history had just happened minutes ago.
Oh, so I get it. I know exactly what happened. They're like, "Hey, we need to do something," and they went,
But yeah, we got stuff to do.
No. And then the person they were talking to went, "What?"
Just blood coming out of their ears and down their neck. Huh? So nobody thought about it again
Holy
until...
shit, these pictures are fucking bananas.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's
God
crazy.
damn.
Don't say anything because we're going to get into that here in a second. So they don't think about that again until they realize that, this whole situation on High Flyer is looking pretty serious too, right? So at 11 p.m., the initial explosion happened at 9:15 a.m. So we're talking 14 hours later almost. 11 p.m., they send some tugboats out to attempt to pull High Flyer away, get it off the quay and pull it away from the docks and just get it out of the fucking harbor. They could not move it. They cut her anchor. They attempted for like 2 hours to pull this thing loose. Could not pull it, right? At around 1 a.m., so we're something like 16 hours after the initial explosion. Since Grand Camp exploded, around 1 a.m., around 1 a.m., the tugboats say, "You know what? We can't do anything. We got to get out of here." Good timing. 10 minutes later, at 1:10 a.m., High Flyer fucking explodes, kills 2 more people. According to witnesses that watched this happen, the explosion was more powerful than Grand Camp. What?
Fucking High Flyer trying to show him up again.
Oh, you call that an explosion? I've got a better one.
They wouldn't let him fucking win the science fair.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let him win the dance competition.
Tied his LL Bean, snugged his LL Bean sweater around his neck.
God
and
damn
said,
it.
I'll do a better one.
Fucking
My dad's the
Chet
CEO of
Worthington.
Monsanto.
Chet Worthington on the High Flyer, always stealing their glory.
So yeah, casualties were not as bad because the docks had basically everything around that had been evacuated, right? So the second explosion exacerbated the damage to all of the ships and buildings and stuff nearby, but there were only 2 casualties from that one. It completely destroyed the Wilson B. Keene. The steel frame of the High Flyer, by the way, had been heated until glowing. Because the ammonium nitrate burns so fucking hot. The whole fucking steel frame of this boat was glowing. And when it exploded, all these chunks rained down on Texas City, set massive fires all over the place. One of the propellers, and I want to say this propeller was like 6 tons or something crazy, was blown off and found nearly a mile inland.
Good God.
Yeah. So they actually have a memorial park in Texas City that I think has that propeller.
I'd expect it to be in like some family's like backyard. All right, one day propeller just came out the sky.
It's lodged into the goddamn septic. I'm not taking it out, and fucking that thing's plugging the septic tank. If I pull it out, I got a hole.
They were telling me that they want to take it for some memorial, but I'll tell you right now, I ain't just giving up a propeller like this. It came to me, and it's here for a reason.
That thing's made out of steel. When I pull it out of the septic, I'm scrapping it. I'll get at least $38.
I'm gonna scrap it.
I'm gonna scrap it. I get $38 for that thing easy. So no, they've got a memorial park with the propeller and the anchor from Grand Camp. Grand Camp.
Grand Camp.
I got it in my head now. Jesus.
The first season finale where Gigi Georgina and Grandpa Ben kiss behind the bleachers at the camp formal. And Georgina's granddaughter who's the chaperone for the dance catches them, and then they have to have like a talk, and it has to be like,
they're not making out. They're old people. Somebody's getting a beach.
It's like, I know Grandpa's been gone a long time, Grandma, but you can't just act like this. And Georgina's like,
Ben's a bad boy. Don't mess with him.
She's like, I'm a woman. I have feelings too. And her granddaughter's
I have
like,
needs. I have needs.
Granddaughter's like, Gigi, you have dementia. And then it fades out and you don't get a resolution.
Not until next week. So fun time. Casualty.
Turns out she doesn't have dementia. Her granddaughter was just telling her that she did to get her to stop seeing Bad Boy Ben.
Of the dead, 405 identified, 63 never identified.
Disco Florence.
Shut the fuck up about Grand Camp, goddammit. You want to write a treatment, you do it in your own time.
Disco Florence, Baker Betsy.
I hate it. I hate everything you're saying.
3G Gigi Georgina, Bad Boy Ben.
Tell me when
they're
you're done.
dead.
Tell me when you know. They're part of the 405 identified.
Gone before their time.
Are they part of the 405 identified or 63 never identified?
Well, there was. I'm done here. I'm gonna.
This is so, by the way, the latter remains.
They found one of the unrecognizable remains was wearing Bad Boy Ben's leather jacket, but they don't know if it was really him.
My God! Grand Camp can go to fucking hell.
Season 3.
So the 63 that were never identified, they placed them in a memorial cemetery in the north part of Texas City. There were an additional 113 people that were classified as missing because no identifiable parts were ever found.
Gross.
Yeah.
So meat.
They found chunks.
People that look like overdone marshmallows.
They found chunks and said, we don't know what part this chunk is.
They found just like liquid goop.
Gross.
You remember the globster?
I do.
We were talking about the St. Augustine sea monster, just cutaneous fat and tissue floating in the ocean like a jellyfish.
By the way, this figure included firefighters who were aboard Grand Camp when she exploded.
Never forget.
There's also some speculation that there were hundreds more killed but not counted. So that includes like visiting seamen from other countries, undocumented laborers and their families, and just travelers to the area.
Was there like a museum or something that got knocked over?
What?
You said that people were visiting seamen from other countries. Is that like, did they have like was there an exhibition?
Yes.
There's like a traveling show.
There was one of those vats from You and Company. This is fucking
was this all together? It was in one.
22 imperial gallons filled to within 4 inches of the top, just filled with semen.
Gallons. I was figuring individual samples laid out.
And just over 1 million gallons.
Jesus Christ.
More than 800 people were left orphaned or widowed. However, there were some survivors among people as close as 70 feet from the dock. So I don't know how any of this fucking happened.
Oh, that's from being badass.
Or something just blocked that,
Also, I mean, like, yeah, they probably, maybe some people,
like I said,
maybe some people survived. They did not do very well.
That's true.
That
They
shit.
might have survived and now they're just
might have survived and can no longer chew
hear
anything,
or
like
or talk
fucking
or
catatonic, and they just piss.
God damn. Well, I mean, but it makes sense because like the crew of the SS Keene were on the ship, but I think because the High Flyer was in between Grand Camp and the Keene, those guys were probably pretty.
Can you say that again? Can you do that little rhyme again? That was cool.
What did I say?
High Flyer was in between Grand Camp and the
Keene. I didn't know I did that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're a poet and you don't know it, man. You made a rhyme. Give yourself
all the time.
A nickel.
I'm talking rhymes all the time. More than 5,000 people were injured. 1,784 admitted to 21 area hospitals. More than 500 homes destroyed. Hundreds damaged. 2,000 people left homeless. The seaport destroyed. multiple business flattened and or burned, over 1,100 vehicles damaged, 362 freight cars obliterated. The property damage was estimated at $100 million, which, by the way, in 2023 numbers is $1,072 million.
Well, that's big.
And that doesn't even encompass the full scope of the damage. There was another 500 million of oil products burned, which is the equivalent of like over $5 billion worth of oil burned.
You know, if that were to happen today, oil prices would skyrocket. And you know who'd foot the bill? John Q. Public.
Stupid ass.
What am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. The cause of the initial fire on board Grand Camp was never determined. Most people think it was started by a cigarette discarded the previous day. If you say Grandpa Ben, I swear to God, I'll slap you.
No, that one was Georgina. She was trying to impress him.
Yeah, they think that it may have been started by a cigarette discarded the previous day, meaning the ship's cargo was like smoldering throughout the night before the fire was discovered the morning of the explosion. It was probably like just already chemical reaction happening. Like, By the way, the disaster drew the first class action lawsuit against the United States government on behalf of 8,485 plaintiffs.
Oh, yeah?
So suck it, everybody who served at Camp Lejeune.
Grand Camp is the one that...
Oh, my God.
What did they win?
Grand Camp walked so Camp Lejeune could fly.
Did they win the class action suit?
I actually didn't look into that.
Oh.
I fucking hope so.
I mean, whatever.
No, not whatever. If it's a class action,
Did
these
you
are
not-
probably the people whose homes were fucking
Patrick,
flattened in
don't you
businesses.
realize the profit margins are like nothing now? They're out
Jesus Christ.
comparatively $1 billion. You know, they're gonna have to sink, at least a 20% profit share back into rebuilding this seaport. They're not gonna see profits again until probably the third or fourth quarter of next year.
The seaport was gone,
Yeah.
done.
They have to invest all kinds. They got to borrow international trade and finance.
Yeah, we can't be giving money to these piddly assholes whose homes were demolished.
They got to hire new people, import them.
Yeah, fuck you, poor people.
There's no raises for any of the board members.
By the way, there's fuck. By the way, there's multiple articles more recently about the pollution in that area. Back to Texas City being a shithole. There's a lot of like benzene pollution that's causing like insane amounts of rampant cancers. And like I said, if you have a second, if you're like just sitting around listening to this with your phone or your laptop or whatever, take a look at some of the archived photos and stuff. It is wild.
Truly, truly pretty horrific stuff. I haven't seen anything really that interesting in the pictures in our research since Denora Death Fog. Probably.
Yeah. This one was like very surprising that I'm like, I've never heard of this, and I don't know that I've ever heard anybody talk about this. Like this, they're fucking big.
The largest non-nuclear explosion of all time,
and the biggest industrial disaster in the history of the U.S. That's crazy.
That's big. That's a big deal. You'd figure you'd hear about that, but you know what? They had to be fair. They just ended World War II, so they're probably like 800 people.
By the way, if you want an example of like actually see an ammonium nitrate explosion, I don't know if you guys remember in 2020 that fireworks factory in Beirut, Lebanon.
Was that an
that was ammonium nitrate? Yes,
because that shit is fucking bonkers.
It looks like a goddamn nuclear explosion.
I mean, I remember seeing
that. It's the mushroom cloud and it's like your classic, like what you think of when you think of like a devastating, insane explosion. There's a video of that Beirut explosion that a guy took from like a kayak. He's like on the water and you see the explosion and like 2 seconds later, you see like the shock wave coming across the water. And like 2 seconds later, this guy is in the water, like camera, everything in the fucking water. And it's like a crazy video, dude. Okie dokie. So.
Okie dokie, skokie.
I wanted to do one more. And I wanted it to be in a place that we have yet to talk about.
Hold on a second. Where haven't we talked about?
We haven't talked about a lot of places.
Mongolia.
A specific continent that we haven't talked about.
Pacific continent. Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One I have a lot of very personal feelings about in general.
What have you been to Africa?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I'd like to go to Africa.
I would love to go to Africa. I have a lot of opinions about the most mineral rich continent in the world being largely relegated to abject poverty. But we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about it.
Yeah, but at least the Dutch and the French and the Spanish and the Portuguese and the English are taken care of, right? At least they own all that.
I was thinking, you know, it might be good,
and not the actual countries.
Is if we develop like a machine that gives all the Sneetches 2 stars on their bellies.
Fuck off.
Then we wouldn't be able to tell.
So remember, you just brought it up. Remember Denora Death Fog?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the Lake Nyos disaster in
let's
Cameroon.
talk about them shits.
Cameroon, right?
That was a sick Wu-Tang reference I just made. Let's talk about them shits. Let's talk about the good old days.
So Lake Nyos is a crater lake in the northwest region of Cameroon in Africa, right? It's a...
Ooh, Crater Lake. Just like in kids' horror when I was talking about the Christopher Pike novel Monster. And the football players went swimming in the Crater Lake and then they got possessed by the alien brain spore.
Mm-hmm. Go back and listen to kids' horror, guys.
It's a good episode.
It was a good episode.
If that was an interesting topic for you, you should check that out.
So it's a deep lake high on the flank of an inactive volcano in the Oku volcanic plain. Right, this is in northwest Cameroon. So on August 21st of 1986, a limnic eruption at Lake Nyos killed 1,746 people and 3,500 livestock.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So no one really knows what caused this, but most geologists suspect there was a landslide. Some think that there was a small volcanic eruption that may have occurred on the bed of the lake. And a third possibility is that cool rainwater falling on one side of the lake triggered basically this lake released just metric tons and tons of CO2 gas from the bed of the lake.
Or you're ignoring a fifth possibility
Of?
It was alien brain parasite worms. And some teenagers went swimming out there, and they brought them out, and then they started like running a little network.
And everybody was exhaling too hard, so all the CO2.
Well, there was a cheerleader. There's a cheerleader in town who was like getting wise to it, but she got infected by the brain parasite too. You know, so she ran a scheme to kill everyone that was infected and save the day, but still herself turning into the alien brain monster.
Oh, God damn it! Grand Camp is over, and now we're on this.
Christopher Pike's Monster 2, Lake Nyos.
Stupid.
Christopher Pike, get with me.
So it's believed that about 1.2 cubic kilometers of gas was released, CO2, right? This is a super deep lake, and something, whether it was a landslide or a volcanic eruption or rainfall on one side of the lake causing some sort of weird temperature inversion, all of this CO2 released from the bed of the lake up into the atmosphere, right? 1.2 cubic kilometers. So take 1.2 kilometers, go this way, go that way, go up and down, boom. That's how much CO2 got released all at once, right? I don't know if you know about CO2, but that makes your oxygen receptors in your lungs not be able to glom onto oxygen.
Yeah, actually, I know that. I almost died in a walk-in cooler one time when I tried to use dry ice inside of the cooler. So Jake, you know Jake.
Yeah, I know
Jake and I were working at this pizzeria, and the cooler went down, and we brought a bunch of dry ice into the cooler to like keep it cold. And we were just hanging out in there, and we shotgun a beer because we were doing a lot of shotgunning beers at the time. God. And we're just hanging out for a second. We're like, starting to feel a little woozy.
I don't feel so good.
Like, this is weird. And then I realized like, oh shit. I could like grab him. We run out like, oh fucking. So, we had about 8 seconds before we were dead in that cooler.
So carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide both will attach to your oxygen receptors in your lungs not allowing actual oxygen to attach to those receptors. So
Yeah, essentially
you just suffocate.
drowning you.
You just suffocate.
Yeah.
You literally asphyxiate to death. So the normally blue waters of this lake turned a deep red after the outgassing, due to iron-rich water from the deep rising to the surface and being oxidized. So this
the lake rusted.
This lake basically turned rust-colored, went from deep blue to like orange brownish rust color.
Shit, so fucking
It's like some weird like apocalypse shit.
crazy crater lake fucking turns red, and then everyone starts fucking suffocating
Dropping
around
dead.
it.
All the livestock, all the people.
Jeez, did somebody sacrifice an animal first? Was it a
God
fucking
damn,
was
dude.
it an
It
eclipse?
was the wrong animal.
The fucking Thulsa Doom riding through there? Jesus Christ.
The level of the lake dropped by about a meter, and the trees near the lake were knocked down.
Okay, so hold on. You're saying you said a lot of the release happened after rainfall?
There's three theories, right? One is that there was a landslide, that I guess via this landslide something happened with at the bed of the lake that released all this. Another one was a volcanic eruption that happened because it sits right on the edge of a volcanic plain. And the third is that there was, and I don't know, I'm not sure how this works chemically or meteorologically or whatever, but cool rainwater falling, because it's a big lake. So cool rainwater falling on one side of the lake triggered some sort of overturn where all this CO2 was
and then this lake, like, I imagine releasing that much O2, I bet it like fizzed like a fucking big glass of soda pop, or like, and then dropped several
That's the next
meters,
thing that's about to happen.
turned red, and then everyone around it dies.
So
It's kind of badass.
So like I said, the level,
terrible tragedy, of course.
The level of the lake dropped by about a meter, and trees near the lake were knocked down. Why did the trees get knocked down? Well, the conclusion from evidence there is that a 330-foot column of water and foam,
330 feet?
330 feet column of water and foam formed at the surface of the lake, spawning a wave of at least 82 feet that swept the shore on one side.
Jesus Christ. It's like somebody tossed Alka-Seltzer in that bitch.
Yeah, no shit. So since CO2, carbon dioxide, is 1.5 times the density of air, the cloud hugged the ground and moved down into the valleys, because this is all mountainous, right? So it moved down into all these valleys where there are a ton of villages. The mass was about 160 feet thick and traveled downward at 12 to 31 miles an hour for roughly 14 miles. The gas cloud was concentrated enough to suffocate a bunch of people in their sleep in the villages of Nyos, Cam, Cha, and Subom. I don't know if I'm pronouncing those right. They're Cambodian villages. I'm sorry, Cameroonian villages. About 4,000 inhabitants fled the area, and many of these developed respiratory problems, lesions, and paralysis as a result of the gas cloud.
Damn.
So, like I said, on top of the fucking 1,746 people and 3,500 livestock that just dead.
Shit. Fucking, that's intense as fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine just, I mean, obviously there's like no real imagining, but like, it's probably a...
People in their sleep just...
A crater lake is perfectly round.
It's not perfectly round. It's a big ass lake.
Oh, crater lakes usually are quite round.
Yeah.
Or a big ass lake, I bet you the water's really serene and nice.
Probably.
And then fucking just one day just, whoop, fuck you. And like...
I think it's isolated enough that nobody was really around to see the actual event.
Well, 3,700 people.
But those are, like I said, this is happening up at the top of this mountain.
Oh, so...
And all that gas, because CO2 is so much heavier than air, it just like I said,
like fucking creeping just death fog.
160 feet thick, traveling downward at 12 to 31 miles an hour for roughly 14 miles.
Jesus
It
Christ.
suffocated most people in their sleep because it happened at night. So reporters described the scene as, quote, looking like the aftermath of a neutron bomb. And I have a quote from a survivor. Joseph Nikwan from Subom described himself when he awoke after the gases struck. This is his quote. I could not speak. I became unconscious. I could not open my mouth because then I smelled something terrible. I heard my daughter snoring in a terrible way, very abnormal. When crossing to my daughter's bed, I collapsed and fell. I was there until 9 o'clock in the morning, until a friend of mine came and knocked at my door. I was surprised to see that my trousers were red, had some stains like honey. I saw some starchy mess on my body. My arms had some wounds. I didn't really know how I got these wounds. I opened the door. I wanted to speak. My breath would not come out. My daughter was already dead. I went into my daughter's bed thinking she was still sleeping. I slept till it was about 4:30 in the afternoon on Friday. Then I managed to go over to my neighbors' houses. They were all dead. I decided to leave because most of my family was in Wom. I got my motorcycle. A friend whose father died left with me for Wom. As I rode through Nyos, I didn't see any sign of anything living. When I got to Wom, I was unable to walk, even to talk. My body was completely weak.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That's fucking...
As a father, that also is just...
He got up to go check on his daughter, collapsed, was out until the next morning, I guess. Or that happened like really early in the morning, I think. So he woke up at 9:30 in the morning. So he was out for several hours, woke up, couldn't fucking speak, went to go check on his daughter. She's dead, collapses again until 4:30 in the afternoon. Dude, this shit's wild as
That's
fuck.
insane. The idea of like riding a motorcycle out of just like a dead zone like that is so intense.
Dude, for real. And like him saying, I rode my motorcycle out and nothing was alive. I couldn't see anything alive.
That's fucking crazy.
Because I'm sure, like I said, with 3,500 livestock dead, I'm sure there's like pens with like cattle and stuff like that. I mean, there's got to be signs of life.
More than that. I mean, it's fucking Africa. If you're driving out of a 15-mile range, I'll bet you there would be a lot of nature.
Yeah.
Trees, birds, fucking...
It's hard to not see any signs of life driving anywhere ever. I mean, pick the most isolated spot you've ever been. There's still signs of life.
Yeah, and like, dude, if you were like riding a motorcycle, not like you're in a car and you can't hear the outside world, riding a motorcycle for 15 miles or something, and you don't hear a single noise, like a nothing, just a void of sound.
Jesus Christ.
That's like a fucking Shyamalan movie, man. That's psychotic.
God damn. So following the eruption, many survivors were treated at the main hospital in Yaoundé. That's Cameroon's capital. It was believed that many of the victims had been poisoned by sulfur-based gases. Poisoning by these gases would lead to burning pains in the eyes and nose, coughing, and signs of asphyxiation similar to being strangled. So that's pretty much how everybody died. Asphyxia. CO2 asphyxiation.
Okay, so I can't remember what episode this it was, but I fucked up a reference. I'm just thinking about it now because
You're doing a fact check now.
Yeah, but I'm only just thinking of it because we're talking about
an hour
Africa.
and a half in.
It was a different episode. If I can listen, because we're talking about Africa. Okay, the movie Amistad. Okay, I referenced that the character in Amistad was named Kunta Kinte. Not true. Kunta Kinte is from Roots. Amistad is Sinke. I just want everyone to know that I knew that when I listened to it.
That was Mayflower.
Huh?
That was the Mayflower episode.
Yeah. Well, I fucked that up, and I'm sorry.
Do you know how often when I'm editing these, I realize that I said something wrong, and I just go, oh, I sounded like a dumb asshole right then. Hopefully I say enough smart things that people don't think I'm a dumb asshole.
I'm going to edit that out. Leave all
No,
Riley.
I leave it.
Leave Riley sounded stupid.
No, I leave it. I leave it always.
But so, I actually know...
You know Amistad's so good.
I know Amistad really well. And also there's the song...
And Roots. You know both of them.
There's the song from Kanye West, College Dropout, Never Let You Down, which I can't remember the guest artist that's on that one, but he's really good. And he says, that's why I want to give us free like Sin K. And I remember that.
Great.
That's a good song.
Back to the tragedy at Lake Nyos.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are they more dead or less dead?
They're the same amount of dead. The amount of dead they are has not changed. Interviews with the survivors and the pathologic studies indicated that the victims rapidly lost consciousness and that death was caused by CO2 asphyxiation. So, but also this is kind of interesting, at non-lethal levels, CO2 can produce sensory hallucinations, such that people exposed to CO2 report the odor of sulfuric compounds when none are present. Skin lesions found on survivors represent pressure sores, and in a few cases, exposure to a heat source. There's no evidence of chemical burns or flash burns from exposure to hot gases. That's just
Wait, hold on. It can cause like smell hallucinations?
Evidently.
Like, you're smelling sulfur, but there's no sulfur.
Yeah, and they had lesions on them that were like pressure sores, like what you get from laying down, like bed sores.
I've never heard of a fucking scent, like a scent hallucination.
Apparently, in non-lethal levels, CO2 can make you hallucinate that you smell something weird, sulfuric compounds.
That's fucking crazy.
I don't know. I wasn't there, thankfully. In a bit of good news, I know I usually end the episodes with fucking god-awful news, but in a bit of good news, they did, after this incident, they did a bunch of studies and stuff, and they installed degassing equipment in Lake Nyos. So it's like a series of pumps and stuff, pumps and pipes that, like, anytime the CO2 builds up.
That just sounds like bullshit. It's like, no, we can put...
degassing.
You guys are good. We got degassing, and it's just like a bunch of PVC pipes, just kind of like just hanging out in there.
They just dropped one in there.
Yeah, it was like, we got a degasser thing.
Yeah.
You know, they just throw fucking tablets in it. It's like, it's good. It's good now.
They just zip tied a cinder block
Yes.
to a PVC pipe and threw it in the middle of the lake.
I gotta say, man, this series is giving me a bit of, I don't know about a phobia. I'm not really like afraid of anything specifically, and I'm not saying that like, oh, I'm a tough guy.
You're a
like,
big badass, bro.
No, I'm just like I'm just such a fatalist that like I'm just constantly.
I also have no weird phobias.
Yeah, I'm just constantly prepared for just like whatever.
Aren't
horror
you weird
is gonna
about
happen.
heights?
No, not really.
No.
I mean,
Okay.
just like anybody, I've climbed up on mountains and stuff, and like gotten to the edge and been like, whoa.
No, you were one of the few. Remember when we were doing that remodel over on Pope Road, and everybody was afraid because of the sorry, we're going back several years now.
Oh yeah, because that stringer was all fucking shot, and we didn't have like good
No.
fucking steps on it.
The vault in the front of the house. Remember the vault was like, I don't know, 20-something feet up?
Yeah.
And I had to have like 3 levels of scaffolding in there because we had to
okay,
scrape
yeah,
and respray the ceiling. And everybody was afraid to get on top of the scaffold to scrape the old ceiling and to do and to spray the knockdown for the new ceiling.
Well, you know, I wasn't even there, I think, when you had that scaffolding up. I only worked on that one for a little bit. Like I did like
you came in to do painting.
Yeah,
and
I came
stuff.
like painting and texture stuff.
Yeah, okay.
But I was with you when we did that deck and did like the 3-story deck on the roof.
Yeah.
And when like I was going up and down that fucking
Yeah.
that shitty stringer with no steps on
Everybody
it.
was
Fine. Everybody was scared as
Everybody
fuck.
was chicken shit about that. I have no problems with
I mean, I
heights.
just kind of assumed that, you know, something's going to happen at some point. But I'll say it's like if there is like a phobia developing in my head, it would be because of this series. Just thinking like nature could just fucking turn on you,
kill you.
Just fucking boof. It's not like it's
Or somebody flicking a cigarette into several thousand tons of ammonium nitrate and be like, it'll be fine.
that doesn't scare me as much as that's industrial accident stuff. That's fine, but just like.
Yeah, you don't work in an industrial park.
Yeah, I would never anticipate that a lake would just flip and turn red and kill everyone in 14 miles. That's
Can you
insane.
imagine? It like
That I mean, that to me, that's the same
I
thing
think-
as
you know
the
what's funny?
Earth. That is just the Earth splitting open and swallowing you whole.
I think last time we did Wacky Disasters, I talked about having a time machine and going back and selling cups at the fucking whiskey,
Oh, yeah.
the whiskey fire, and then getting over to Bath County, Kentucky to figure out what the fuck the meat shower was.
What's up with that meat?
I think also while I have this, apparently I've got it rented out for a little bit. While I have it, I'm gonna go
Go back to Lake
Lake
Nyos
Nyos
with a gas mask.
to be there and watch this fucking lake go from this cool blue serene lake to suddenly, what was it, like a 330-foot column of water and foam, and suddenly the whole thing turns like brownish
That's
orange.
insane. That's like dropping an Alka-Seltzer into like a 2-liter, and it just going.
Yeah, Jesus, that's nuts.
I mean, that's a spectacle. There's some natural shit like that is just it's not documented on anything in the world because how could you document that?
You also have to think about millions, billions of years before people were even on this fucking planet. All the crazy shit that nobody even has documentation on. Think about when documentation on this shit started. It's only been in the last few millennia.
I found out recently. I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast. I was listening to this book. I was listening to an audiobook, and they were talking about Yellowstone and how the geysers
Mm-hmm.
change intensity.
You talked about this.
Yeah,
you talked about this on...
as the crust of the Earth moves
Yeah.
over the hot spots
Yeah.
in the magma.
We talked
So,
about
like,
this in part 3 of the West.
Yeah, so the fucking geysers themselves will like lose intensity, and the whatever geyser is closest to the hot spot will be like the biggest, most intense one.
Yeah. And I was saying, I wonder if that giant aquifer that's being used, that has been being used for over 100 years now, to irrigate all of the agro-business in the plain states that's now going dry, if that all that water in those aquifers over, you know, however long that's been there, has had some sort of cooling effect also, and now you are drying that out using it for irrigation. And
Oof.
I wonder how
I don't
that
know.
works.
I'm not the scientist.
I'm not a geologist, and I don't pretend to be one. So,
I play a geologist at parties.
well, that's gonna wrap us for this one. But if you like this episode, there's a really great way that you can tell us, and that is get on your Spotify, get on your Apple Music. Apple Podcast. Get on Audible, whatever you're listening to. Give us 5 stars. Leave us a rating. You know what I think is really cool? And I literally only recently have noticed this.
Action figures. Cool, like Marvel and DC action figures.
The individual episodes on Spotify where people can leave comments on the episodes. And that's a really cool... I think we've got several episodes in a row where we've got some comments on those. Keep those coming, guys. That's like really awesome. Like I said at the top, to show that you guys are engaged means the world, not just even from like a business standpoint, which this is, and we do want to be able to make some money off of this, but also just being able to get on there and like see what you guys think and see what you guys say on those individual episodes is really fucking cool, and I love it. So thank you if you've done that. If you haven't, please take a second, give us 5 stars, leave us a review. You can say whatever the fuck you want, anything you want. Riley, you have anything you want us to say, want them to say on reviews?
No.
Okay, perfect. He's a simple man, simple pleasures. But if you
actually an intensely complicated man.
No, you're not. You like to think that, but
you know what?
What?
Fuck you.
Yeah, you know what? Food, music, blowjobs, sleep. You're happy for the rest of your life. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. Now the happiness eludes me in
everything I do. Okay, Warner.
Everything I do is pain.
I am unable to find happiness anymore.
All of my heart is pain. I say that as I doodle like a
Are you drawing Clippy?
Just like a big monkey head.
Oh, it looked like Clippy.
I compulsively doodle as part of the ADHD.
So yeah, you can say whatever you want because you'll never make Riley happy. So you can say...
tell me which of your...
Ninja Turtles are the fastest.
Tell me which painting by Rembrandt you prefer. The Night Watch from 1642 or The Storm on the Sea of Galilee in 1633.
I'm more of a Hieronymus Bosch guy, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat.
I like a good Caravaggio, but the fuzzy nature of Rembrandt's stuff is always appealing to me.
Yeah, so sure, that too. You can also, if you want to see some images of the things that we talk about on the show, we usually drop, every time we drop an episode, we drop an Instagram thing.
Post. They're called posts.
That's what it is.
On social media.
We drop an Instagram thing on the social stuff.
And there's always a fun joke. There's some sort of a gag. There's a fun joke in there.
You didn't hashtag Channing Tatum on this most recent. You can go through and edit it.
I'm gonna have to do it now. I'm gonna go back and do it now.
Baby.
I did one good thing I thought was really good. The episode that we just posted today is Boring Man, Crazy Life, and we, if you haven't listened to it, we discussed the life of John McAfee, the billionaire programmer psychopath nut job, and one of the hashtags that social media had bouncing around for him was hashtag John McAfee didn't kill himself. So I put in hashtag John McAfee didn't kill himself and then space parentheses he did.
Yeah, I think it said yes he did.
Yes he did.
Yes he did.
Totally did.
But yeah, so you can add us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads. We're on all of those. We don't really do much with Facebook or Threads. Instagram's kind of the one that we do stuff with.
Most of the stuff
that's Riley's job.
Anything I do on Threads, I usually do. It's just my own personal profile, and it's mostly just like chiming into other people's comments and being like, "No, you're stupid."
You should start doing Threads stuff for the podcast.
Threads sucks.
I don't know.
It's fucking dumb. It's just Twitter, but like
with less racism.
No, not even. Really.
It's not.
No, it's
There's
awful.
As much racism.
It's awful.
Oh, okay. Well, shit.
It's like you cannot be a black person and post something on that shit without people chiming in and being like, "You don't know your dad" or some shit. It's fucking miserable.
Jesus Christ.
It's fucking horrible. It's horrible. It's a cesspool of scum and villainy. I hate it.
Gross.
Yeah.
Well, also, if that's not enough for you, right? You've already given us 5 stars. You've already left a review. You're our friend on Instagram and Facebook and Threads. We don't even do anything on those, but you're our friend and you're engaged and you're loving it. And you say, you know what? I want to really be a fucking investor on this show. You can subscribe to our Patreon. What is that going to get you? It's going to get you some short episodes. Every single week we put up a short episode. It's a little more conversational. I think we talked about this at the top, right? Did we talk about this at the top?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're a little more conversational. They're a little more sort of, I don't know, unhinged maybe. It's a lot less edited. But at some point we've talked about starting to do some merch here in the not too distant future. And if you're a Patreon subscriber, you're going to get some free merch too for being an investor in our business, more or less.
Hashtag Channing.
Are you literally editing this right now instead of being
updated, baby?
Be in the podcast, man.
It's fucking important. Okay, listen. Every episode, hashtag Channing Tatum is one hashtag closer to him being like, "Why do you keep doing this?" And then that opens a dialogue.
Why the fuck?
Why do you keep doing?
And
I'll be like, "It's because we talked about your dick." He'll be like, "This is weird. Stop." Cease and desist. But then that generates publicity. You know?
Episode 6, dude. I think it was episode 6. Anyway, so somebody brought something to my attention the other day. And we're going to talk about this live, and you guys get to hear Riley and I have a business discussion. Somebody brought up maybe not everybody wants to be a monthly Patreon subscriber.
Oh, you're bringing up the OnlyFans.
I don't.
You could do a one-time payment, $5, get to see the goods.
Good for life. No, somebody brought up that we should set up a like Venmo, Cash App, stuff like that for the podcast. And that way, if somebody just wants to do like a one-time donation, if they just want to give us, $3 or whatever the fuck, then we can do that. And I don't know, how do we feel about that?
Sure.
I mean,
cool. Listen, there are a lot of times where this is a massive inconvenience, but like it's more of like it's a passion. This is fun. This is a lot of fun.
This is fun. We enjoy doing this.
For instance, right now it's midnight. I gotta be at work at like 6 a.m. tomorrow. Like it's tough to handle that. And I did like a 12-hour day today, and pretty much came home. We immediately started podcasting, and it's a process trying to get it to a place that could become profitable. That's not really the main focus. Mostly it's just like, it's good to hang out with your friends and get this out there.
Well, I mean, but also it'd be really great if we could just quit our other jobs.
That would be so fucking cool. That would be so cool.
But at any rate, we're going to do it, probably. We have to do all the bank stuff and stuff. Doesn't mean you have to, but if you guys like the show, if you're like, I don't have $8 a month to listen to you guys be jackasses, for extra episodes,
you tip us.
That's okay. If you want to just leave us a few bucks, listen, if you leave us 10 cents, we are going to be thankful. We're going to say your name on our episode. We're going to be like, hey, thanks, blank.
But hey, guys,
for the donation.
Seriously, no pressure. We're going to keep doing this anyway.
Some pressure.
I mean, you really want to help, play it for somebody else. Get like the video from The Ring. Like true. Fucking infect your friends with with us. Share, if there's an interesting tidbit you like it, just fucking forward it to your friends. Yeah.
Either way, we're gonna keep doing this. We love doing this, but we do love hearing from you guys. We do love the engagement. If you guys want to be Patreon followers, if you guys want to donate, if you guys want to be investors, like I said, that's the way to do it, and we'll follow up on that at some point. It's like Riley was saying, we have lives and we have jobs and we have children and we have all these things. So I'm not trying to turn it into like an NPR fucking
Yeah.
telethon. Send us money or we're going to go under.
We'll just keep fucking just staying. We're doing a 200-hour episode.
But hey, by the way, I didn't say this at the top. This is our 20th episode.
Oh shit, that's a lot of episodes.
Yeah, this is our 20th one.
That's cool. What do we got on the horizon? We're like we're moving into the holiday season, so we've got
well, let's not drop any spoilers.
No, we got some holiday stuff coming up.
Holiday stuff.
The revamp of our early episodes, like
yes.
the sound quality boost is coming up here shortly.
Yes, our early episodes will have better fidelity in terms of listening.
Yeah, they'll be much more loyal. And
sound fidelity.
Won't be such whores. And yeah,
merch stuff.
Merch. I've got a good idea for
jingle.
Huh?
Jingle or
Oh yeah. No, fucking. We got the jingle thing. Listen to the Patreon episode if you want to hear the rough, the early rough that we got jingle. Coming. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just declare we're gonna get the wolf werewolf shirts because that's cool.
Wolf werewolf will be cool. Yeah, we're gonna do some merch stuff.
If you didn't hear that episode, wolf werewolf is a wolf that turns into a wolf.
That's our first episode.
Yeah,
that's Cryptids 1. Yeah, so we're in addition to all these other things, in addition to doing research, in addition to recording and editing and all this stuff, we are really we're here for it. So we appreciate all of you who are in it to see us succeed and are enjoying the podcast and listen all the time. And by the way, I haven't called out a state yet. Virginia, send us a message, deleteeverythingpodcast@gmail.com. Where did you guys come from? How'd you find us? Where are you? What are you doing? There are a lot of you. So tell us what's up. Anyway.
What's that song? Meet Virginia. You know that one?
Sweet Virginia?
No, Meet Virginia. Meet Virginia. No, it was by Train.
Oh my God. Is there really a Train song about Virginia?
You don't know that one?
No, I don't know any Train songs. What the fuck are you talking? Why are you always bringing up Train? It's the worst band.
Why are you always bringing up Train, man?
Anyway.
You were just singing Bush, and you know how I feel about Bush. Okay?
I was doing it to annoy you because I also despise Bush.
Train v. Bush.
IRL or just the bands?
I mean, I would love to see those bands fight. That'd be cool.
Anyway, that's going to be it for us for this week. We love you, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.